This is your First Alert Weather Breakdown, a deep dive into how weather works with meteorologist Evan Thomason.
Hey, good morning. Welcome on into the First Alert Weather Breakdown, about 9 minutes late. Sorry about that. Essentially, just some technical issues going on behind the scenes that didn't allow us to be able to start on time. But hey, it's okay. As I always like to say to every party that I go to, I'd rather show up, maybe not show up fashionably late, but I'd rather show up than not show up at all. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Anyways, thank you for watching First Alert Weather Breakdown. If you're on for the first time, I'm meteorologist Evan Thomas, and thank you very much for tuning on in. We have actually some content with storms here. It hasn't rained since before Christmas. We need the storms back in the ArkLaTex, and that's exactly what we have across the next 2 days after today. Today, still beautiful. In fact, I'll show you the beautiful blue skies here in just a moment. But essentially, we're just going to use today's podcast, especially because we're here late, to just go over the storms. There's plenty of details surrounding them, including the chance of severe weather as well. So we're going to go thoroughly over that on your stream right here as you're watching either on our YouTube page. If you're on our YouTube page and are watching the live stream currently, feel free to leave a comment at any point or a question. I love responding to y'all. Personally, it's great. It makes my day. But what was the other thing? Evan? Brain. Oh, if you're on our live stream watching on KSLA.com, it should be working. That was the whole reason that we were delayed. Our connection to our live stream. It's getting messed around with, and thankfully we are able to run things. But I was let know by my engineering department that we still are without one thing to our stream. We don't have any ad breaks, which... hey, means good news for you. You will see me on the entire time. Usually we take one commercial break about midway through the podcast. Today we will not have any of that, so you will just be seeing weather forecast straight on through. And that's essentially what we're just going to go over here over the next several minutes. All right, so let's get into it. Again, storms are back tomorrow, and then a big cool down follows. I mean, because this is a cold front coming on through over the next few days. That's all we're talking about here for the day today. But again, there is a lot of details surrounding the storms tomorrow, such as what is the timing of it, what are the threats that I'm watching out for, especially because it is bringing in a chance of severe weather into the ArkLaTex. Who is it impacting? Again, when specifically on Thursday and Friday is it coming on in? Just all the details. How much rainfall am I getting out of it? We'll go over it all in just a little bit. All right, so let's get into it. We're going to talk first about what does today bring, which is more sunshine, more warmth into the ArkLaTex here for you. Excuse me. All across the region. And eventually, yes, this will lead us to lots of change, especially in here for the storms first at the end of the work week. And then the cold air follows behind it. It's still going to be warm when the rain is out and about across the next 2 days after today. The cold air essentially comes in after the storms leave the region. So, hey, it's a beautiful outlook into the ArkLaTex right now. We got one last warm, very warm, dry day here around the ArkLaTex before, again, we do have storms for you tomorrow. All right, so let's look further at it. Here's live looking at Texarkana, just some high-level clouds. But, again, we did sunny starting in the morning hours. And it'll lead us into sunshine here throughout the day today. That's going to be great here for you to travel out and around town here for the ArkLaTex. Let's get into your main weather headlines. I know I just went over them, but just to simply go over them one last time. Again, today is one last warm, sunny day. Tomorrow and Friday, that's when the storms are out and around. And, again, they could happen at any point. We're going to go over that future track in just a little bit, but they could happen at any point in between Thursday and Friday. And I know I mentioned this on several podcasts beforehand and several shows beforehand, but these are multiple rounds of storms coming on through. This is not just one round hitting us and then it leaves, and then it's just a question of whether or not when it happens exactly. But essentially, multiple rounds coming through on both days. Substantial rainfall coming through at that as well. Weekend, everything dries up for then. Your weekend plans are fine, specifically on Saturday and Sunday. If you have any Friday night plans, I would watch out for that because rain still, I think, is going to extend into a little bit of Friday night after the work week is done. But we got the cool air following into your weekend. Then we'll go over temperatures first and foremost. Temperatures 61 in Shreveport, 65 in Marshall. Quite the impressive temperature swing here for Marshall. Marshall was down in the upper 30s just about 3 to 4 hours ago. So an impressive about 25 to 30 degree temperature increase just within the last 3 to 4 hours alone. It just tells you how rapidly the temperatures are just going to continue to increase into the afternoon here for you. Here's the big setup. I have a low pressure system. It's off of the southwest corner of the United States, right around here. Here's all the moisture with it. Again, this is all this is all the rain. It's tied in close to the low pressure center and cold front that is moving eastward. But for now, you can see these high level cloud tops indicated by these colors. I love using the satellite map because it just shows you it's so easy to indicate just from a satellite picture, where's the rain, where's the cloud cover, where is it coming from, where is it going. So let's answer all that here for you. Again, all the higher cloud tops are indicated and reflected by these colors, these yellows and especially oranges and reds. That's higher cloud tops. The thicker the cloud, the more moisture you have, the more power you have to drive in rain, which means this cold front is a pretty strong one at that. It has lots of moisture right now going through Mexico, going through the state of Arizona, and also trailing a little bit into New Mexico and kind of the corners of Texas and Oklahoma, but western Oklahoma, not into the ArkLaTex just yet. Again, this is going to take one day to get over here. This is going to be chugging on eastward. And one of the main components of this is its speed coming on in here because, again, it's just off the coast of California today, and yet it's hitting us with storms here for tomorrow. Now, this doesn't mean its impact hasn't affected us yet. Again, all this rain, as you can see, is tied close to the actual cold front, which doesn't hit us, yes, until Thursday. But what has already affected us is winds out of the south. You can even see through Texas some clouds coming out of the south and going up to the north, essentially sliding their way across the state of Texas and sliding their way across the ArkLaTex as well. So essentially, we're getting all of our air, all of our clouds, all of our foggy mornings from down south out of, say, Texas and Mexico. Essentially, we are getting warm air out of the south that continues to provide these temperatures, which are honestly unbelievable. Unbelievable to speak with substantial record highs, not only for Tuesday, but again here for the day today. Probably some areas, honestly, are getting into the lower 80s. I know most of the highs projected here around the region as I'm kind of going through them are supposed to get up into the upper 70s. And there'll be some areas that only get into the upper 70s. But I'm expecting a few lower 80s again in store here for the day today. So, yeah. It's going to be almost sweating weather, not sweater weather here around the ArkLaTex. But again, a big cool down is coming here after today. Once we get into Saturday, Saturday is your main day where it cools down off. Now, to be fair, I think it cools off a little bit into Thursday and Friday, mainly because it's going to be cloudy all day long Thursday and all day long Friday. So that at least turns off the sunlight to warm us up into the afternoon. The thing is, we're still getting winds out of the south, which are ramping in some 70s here, still into Thursday and Friday. But then we get into Saturday. That's when we turn the heat off, 50s, and for Saturday. And this is not just going to be 50s that are here for a day or two and then leave. That's kind of what's happened with most of our cold fronts coming on in, is we get a big cold rush, and then it's gone in just a few days. This one looks to stick around through Monday and Tuesday. If anything, it could get even cooler into early next week. Not only are we dropping our afternoons, we're also dropping off our mornings. Early next week, you're going to need the heavy coat on the way to work and to school. Check out Monday, and it starts a little bit on Sunday too, but these Monday morning temps are going to be getting down to the 20s and 30s, and I think that's going to continue into Tuesday and Wednesday morning next week as well. But to be fair, again, as discussed, the cold front really doesn't come in until Saturday. So still for Thursday and Friday, I know we had cooler temps this morning, but that was a little bit of an outlier in the overall work week. Morning lows are back into the 60s here for Thursday and Friday morning, to where you really don't need much of a coat at all to start off those days. So, again, that's the big temperature swing coming on by after we get past this rain, which we still have to get through plenty here for you. All right, so we're watching out and keeping you first alert about scatter storms potentially bringing us chances of severe weather here that could happen anytime, again, between Thursday and Friday. And we especially want to keep your weather aware, not just because this is the first time rain back in several weeks. I mean, that first and foremost is cause to kind of turn your eye, so to speak, and look twice. But we're tracking the chance of severe weather rolling into the ArkLaTex. Now, thankfully, the severe weather threat is low, but it's there. it hasn't even, the severe weather threat really hasn't been existent in the past couple of systems that have come on by through December and November. I think this is one that I could actually give us a little chance of at least seeing some severe weather threats into the ArkLaTex here. Again, that cool down, as mentioned, does come afterward. So let's look at the future track here for you. For the rest of the day today, again, nice and sunny. Some passing clouds into the afternoon, but still should get some good peaks of sunshine here through the day today. Then we get into tonight. Clouds are going to start to develop overnight hours, meaning cloudy skies. It really starts to take over in the overnight hours. That's going to lead us into almost protecting us under like a warm blanket. It keeps us warm into tomorrow morning. But let's track on to the actual storms. You'll start to see them out to our west in the early morning hours of Thursday, around 5 a.m. You see it out towards the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area. But if you're getting out early tomorrow morning, I think you dodge the storm coverage. I don't think it's until like 6, I think it's more towards 7, 8 is when we finally start to drive in some light rain showers into the region. That could happen anywhere. Look at that. To Queen, all the way down to Natchitoches, chance of storms at wherever around the ArkLaTex. You also notice most of these are pockets of light rain. Yes, that is true coming on by. But if I look back on the future track, look at how quickly these storms are going to be moving. Yes, this is light rain going on by, but this is going to be a windy day. That's going to be the biggest threat for us here on Thursday coming on by. And even into the midday hours, still some light rain showers coming on through, even for the afternoon. Yeah, it's almost like this line of light rain showers. It kind of just unfortunately stops at a standstill there for your Thursday. Excuse me. And that almost allows us to regenerate and reload some storms heading into your Friday, too. It looks like we do get a break in the overnight hours between Thursday late night and early Friday. But once we get going into Friday, it's another round of storms, and this one looks to be a lot more substantial. Look at these cells that are forming along the I-30 corridor, containing heavy rain and maybe the potential for other severe weather threats. Technically, the tornadic chance is not off the table. It is low with the system, yes. But it is possible that we could have it at any point of the day on Friday, again, from Friday morning, late morning at that. But most of these thunderstorms are going to be fueled by the heat of the afternoon. And that's still going to provide lots of heavy rain coverage all the way into, Friday night. Look at Friday at 8 p.m. Still widespread storms around the ArkLaTex from Nacogdoches up into Texarkana. It's not until really the overnight hours where we finally start to dry things up late at night. And that's going to lead us into a nice dry Saturday morning and a dry, thorough weekend for you ahead. So that's kind of the timing of things. And this is what I mean by saying that storms could happen at any point of the day between Thursday and Friday. It's not until we get into Saturday itself that everything's finally gone. All right, so Thursday, we are under marginal risk. Indicated here in the green. That's in effect for everybody around the ArkLaTex. Marginal risk only means we have a slim chance of getting severe weather threats, but it's definitely greater than 0. And the most thing I'm watching out for with this system, particularly on Thursday, is technically tornado chance is not off the table. And that's mainly because of how strong the winds are going to be. It is going to be a windy day here for you Thursday. In fact, I literally have a future track graph showing you the future track of wind gusts, which are really going to start to ramp up overnight tonight. And when you're waking up early tomorrow morning, it's going to be breezy. It's going to be warm, but it's going to be incredibly windy out there. It might even shake you a little on your drive, believe it or not, with wind gusts up to 20. These are going to be sustained wind gusts up to 20 to 25 miles per hour. And you see, once even with the light rain around, light rain, as we mentioned on our future track, is going to come mostly probably in the later morning hours and then roll on throughout the day Thursday. I mean, during the day Thursday, you're getting wind gusts up to 30 to 40 miles an hour. Looks like especially in the northern half of the ArkLaTex. That combined with light rain, even though it's only light rain, it's still going to make it a miserable commute around. And obviously, yes, a wet day, but wet day with winds rolling that way, it's almost going to be, it's like it's raining sideways. It's just going to make a miserable outlook. It's going to be hard to use that umbrella with winds going that quickly, even with just the light rain out and about. Again, that happens for Thursday. I think some of the winds still continue a little bit into Friday, but I don't think it's going to be as bad that day. That day is mostly surrounding kind of around the heavy rainfall, and maybe even a little tiny hail threat as well. But you notice the severe risk is technically amplified just a little bit more in for the day on Friday, specifically for the eastern half of the ArkLaTex. I think most of these cells try to develop around here in this green shade where we could still have a slim risk and a marginal risk of severe weather, but they start to develop and mature a lot more towards this yellow shade, which has a slightly greater chance of getting severe weather. That includes Natchitoches, Shreveport right on the edge of that, Ruston, Magnolia also on the edge of that too, Webster Parish. Most of our northwest Louisiana parishes are kind of tucked into this with green for everybody else across East Texas and southwestern Arkansas. So again, this could happen at any point in the day here for Friday, so please keep your head on a swivel. And overall, the farther east you are, the more rain you fall you're getting out of this system as well, the more chances of the more cells I think you're getting as well that are chugging across the region. But hey, everybody's getting storms. I mean, even up in McCurtain County, you're still getting at least a quarter of an inch. But hopefully, and this, even though this is next 7 days, this is the only system coming over the next 7 days, which is also key in point for this. We are in a drought. In fact, most areas are underneath a moderate to almost severe drought around the region here for you. We need the rainfall. This is good first and foremost. I know I've been talking about severe weather, but this is good to help us out and help us a little bit with our drought. But, again, all this is going to be slammed into 2 days between Thursday and Friday. This 3/4 of an inch to maybe even an inch found towards areas of Natchitoches and out towards Ruston. But, again, this is packed into 2 days. After Friday, we dry up for the weekend, but I don't see any rainfall in sight next week. If anything, maybe I've noticed a slim chance of rain maybe coming back here for maybe Wednesday or Thursday of next week, but it's just slim at this point in time. Unfortunately, we're seeing drier than average conditions projected here heading into next week, which could re-amplify back the drought again. So the case in point, what I'm trying to get at is hopefully we get a good amount of rain from this. We need it. Now, it's going to be pain to deal with here, but again, we haven't had measurable rainfall since before Christmas. Let's help out our atmosphere. Let's help out our ground here around the region. Last thing I have for you before the 12-day before the 7-day forecast is a look at the weekend, which case in point tells you just how cool again it gets for the weekend. We already kind of talked on this a little bit earlier, but highs are going to be down to the 50s after the rain comes on by, and rain still happens again late into Friday night, but it does not cross over into Saturday whatsoever. So if Saturday and Sunday you have any weekend plans out and about, those are fine. Those are good to go. At least we keep it dry for that. Again, we have sustained 50s throughout the 7-day forecast here for you. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. I think that's the most impressive thing about the cold front is, yes, it cools us down. That's what most cold fronts do. But the thing is that the cold air usually only lasts for like a day or two. This one has our cold air being trapped in here at least for 4 days. Again, that's 4 consecutive days where we have highs only in the 50s. Our extended 12-day outlook is trying to warm things up into the 60s by Wednesday of next week, but even then, it's just a tiny warm-up into the middle to late half of next week. Hopefully that comes into fruition. Because not going to lie, guys, I'm one for seasons. I'm one for cooler air coming back in here. It's been nice to be comfortable with days like today where highs are almost nearing or going to be just over 80 degrees. But eventually, we try to cool off a little bit technically on a Thursday and Friday. That's mostly because the sun's not going to be out, but it's still going to be very warm in for both the days to wrap up the work week. Again, you really don't need the heavy coat for the rest of this week. You will need it next week, though, especially with 30s starting on Sunday. I know I'm about to my face was covering that up, excuse me. But we get, temperatures right around the freezing mark, at least for Monday and Tuesday morning. So we still got plenty of January and February days to grab out that heavy coat for much needed mornings like what we will have next work week and next school week. But for the end of this week, nice and comfortable. Just got to be concerned with the rain again, starting tomorrow and carrying over into Friday. Stay weather aware with us. We'll keep you in tune with all the updates here at KSLA News 12. I'll be here through Thursday, through Friday morning, being with you guys. Maybe not being out in the elements, but I'll be in the studio giving you the latest coverage. Anyways, thank you for watching the First Alert Weather Breakdown. I really appreciate it. Always, truly, from the bottom of my heart. I love just talking about weather, ranting about weather. But especially, this is key in moments like this where we get to prep you up in cases of storms coming on by. Especially with the chances of severe weather. And I know it's low, but we don't take our chances around this weather department, okay? Don't want anything to happen to you. All right, anyways, have a good rest of your day. I'll be back tomorrow. Thursday, 10:30, same time, same place. We'll be maybe trying to have maybe a little interview, but besides that, we'll try to have definitely some ongoing radar coverage here on our First Alert Weather Breakdown show here for 10:30 tomorrow. Have a good one. I will see you tomorrow, 10:30. Be there, be square. Most importantly, stay weather aware. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. See you later.